Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Crypto Crow. It is 1:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be publishing this rather soon. And lots of really cool stuff going on in the market today. Bitcoin on the pump, and I figured I would cover it because there's some interesting news that's, I think, sending Bitcoin's valuation up quite a bit in a relatively short period of time. Ultimately, to counteract Trump's announcement of there being no stimulus debate or discussion, negotiation, whatever you want to call that. After Trump had announced that he was basically done negotiating with the Democrats about a stimulus package, the markets just basically dumped, 300 points, 400 points, whatever it was. I know it dropped $200+ on Bitcoin's price within minutes. And we've been seeing a nice recovery. And it's pointing to this news with Bitcoin price turning bullish on Square's $50 million Bitcoin purchase. Basically, I guess they put 1%, a whopping 1% of their total holdings into Bitcoin, which was $50 million. Bitcoin price rallied close to $11,000 after Square announced a $50 million Bitcoin purchase. The number of institutional investors stepping into Bitcoin continues to increase, and this appears to be inspiring some newfound confidence in Bitcoin price. Just today, Square announced that it had purchased 4,709 Bitcoin for $50 million. They're going to get so rich off of this. I mean, not that it even matters, but why only 1%, slackers? Square is not the only large company to take this action. Recently, MicroStrategy made waves for also announcing a significant purchase of Bitcoin. These news events could be a signal to investors that a new cycle is starting up and bigger parties are showing significant interest in Bitcoin. However, will this also affect the short term as Bitcoin is still hovering beneath the crucial $11,000 resistance? Bitcoin volatility is showing signals of boredom as the metric is back to levels seen in July. That was the period after the halving, which caused a lot of sideways action in Bitcoin price for weeks. So, yeah, I mean, this is all good news. I would really like to see us break above 12,000. I mean, 11,000, cool, but I would really like to get back above 12,000 personally. And I think that's possible. But this is also some interesting stuff that's come out recently. Banks must be allowed to let customers store Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, says top U.S. regulator. And here's the thing, from a regulation perspective, and, I learned, one of the things that I do on a regular basis, when a lot of people are like, Crow, you're all over the place. You do this, you do that, you do that, and another thing. And it's true. Because there's so much to learn. And I feel like in order to better understand my investments and how the market is changing, I feel like you have to have kind of a broad understanding of all the different industries within an industry. Like with crypto, you've got all these different kinds of platforms. You've got exchanges. You have DeFi projects. You have decentralized exchanges. And there are just so many different kind of elements within these industries. And in my Bitcoin ATM effort, which I'm really zeroing in on the direction I'm going to go. So, I will be putting all of this good stuff in a video. There's a lot of really good stuff. I'm learning so much. But, I've been talking to compliance officers and I've been talking to lawyers. And, the reality is that when it comes to a Bitcoin ATM, for example, it makes a lot of sense for just the way regulation is and how they're even in the Bitcoin ATM business. And there are a lot, just about any industry, there are going to be shady, bad actors. They're just people that they just want to make money. They don't really care how, right? And I think that, when it comes to regulation, I think it's a lot easier for these regulators to try and support the banking groups, like the different banks, and say, hey, we already have a relationship with you. You already know our rules. You already know how to do your job and to make sure you're compliant and legal and maintaining this great relationship. Maybe you need to get into this, right? It makes sense. But that's not, it's the big banks that ultimately we want to get away from. Because even though from a regulatory perspective, it makes sense for them because they already have these relationships and these banks already have all the what's the word, cogs to that wheel, so to speak. You know, they already have the infrastructure in place for proper compliance, and it's like nobody's having to start over necessarily. So the regulators want the banks into this, and it does make sense. But we, the people, generally are tired of the way banks have been ripping us off. You know, I feel like any bank that has, I mean, just down to like their overdraft fee systems, you know, those are specifically structured to screw you, not serve you. Banks are supposed to be a service for the people, not a cash grab from the poorest of the communities who can barely afford to have a bank account. You know, the banks try to weed these people out by nailing them hard with overdraft fees. And I believe that, you know, personally, I think these overdraft fees are just blatantly dishonest and downright crooked. And so it's like, it's a frustrating situation because it's like the regulators want the banks involved in this industry because they know how it works. They know how to play ball and do what's necessary. They understand the system, but we don't want the banks in this because this is part of the reason why cryptocurrency exists to begin with. We're tired of being ripped off by these freaking institutions who basically use us as batteries. They bleed us for everything they can so that these fat cats, wherever they are in the world, can just count their money and laugh about, you know, the poor people they screwed over yesterday. And I just, it's really a catch-22 scenario. And then you see, you know, guys like the Winklevoss twins and others who have generated significant generational wealth by investing in Bitcoin early, and others. I mean, there are other good actors in the space. There are good people, but it's difficult to find them. And in the process, the regulator's job is to basically weed out the bad actors, get them out of the scene, and bring in people that are going to do things properly. And so I understand. It's like the more I learn about the struggle, the more I understand like where the SEC is coming from, where the regulators are coming from. And it just, I get it. I do get it. It's all necessary, man. There's just so many crooked ass people in this business. I swear to you, I've been in all sorts of ventures, and I've dealt with all sorts of just shady, dishonest people, man. And like, never have I experienced more dishonesty than I have since I got into, and it's not just crypto, it's anything finance related. That's what I'm learning. Crypto is just kind of a new thing, so they're all kind of getting sucked into it like a black hole. But man, anything that has to do with finance, I mean, it's kind of repugnant. I mean, it really is. It's disgusting. And when you hear some of these guys talk, and it's like, you know, I'm one of those guys where I will shut my mouth and listen as I'm totally placing judgment on some of these people. Because I think some people think that, like, I don't know what they think, but I listen to some people and I just keep my mouth shut. I'm like, you are a crooked SOB. Like, and a lot of them just think it's funny, man. And I'm not with it. I'm not with it. You're scum. Anyway, at a recent LA blockchain summit, Brooke says, oh, okay, top U.S. regulator and acting comptroller of the currency, Brian Brooks, says consumers should be able to store their Bitcoin and crypto in the bank. There are 40 or 50 million Americans who currently own crypto assets. That's not widely understood. I think your average person on the street believes crypto is super unusual and really niche, but that's really not so. And if the national banking system is going to play its role in providing a safe haven for people to store and transact value, then that has to include whatever financial asset people are holding at any given moment, and crypto is one of those. Dude, I agree. But I think that we're just tired of these banking conglomerates, man. These just dirty, shady, constantly getting bailed out because of mismanagement, misappropriation of funds, doing whatever the hell they want to do, tanking the market, taking from the public. We're just tired of it. It's time for we need a regime change. We need an infrastructure change. And I know none of this stuff is going to happen. It's only going to continue to get worse. I mean, but I think for so many of us out here, crypto is like crypto is our safe haven. Crypto is what we are looking to with hope to change the way the world is today. and bringing in these banking cartels and everybody and trying to push them into this just because it's easier, because they already know the game. Does that really serve the people? My the entirety of my opinion is kind of just hanging out waiting, because I feel like you can't take a bunch of old, dirty, greedy bastards and say, hey, get into this new asset class and start, enabling your customers to utilize it, start, storing it and all this other stuff, but don't do what you used to do, because the crypto communities are basically, and that's the other thing too, the hardcore crypto people, those of us that are here and have been for years already, we're trying to keep these big institutions out of our ball field, because we don't want to see all of these steroid-laden, juiced-up cheaters coming into our natural game, right? That's how I feel. That's how I feel about it. But it's like these banks are going to start preying on the people that don't know any better. I think that's what this is a lead into. This is basically saying, hey, banks, there are a lot more people with crypto than you think. The moms, the pops, the aunts and uncles that little Jimmy on YouTube was telling to buy Cardano or buy Bitcoin or whatever, and they're holding it, but they don't really know what they're doing. You can make some money off of these people, so you might want to start thinking about it. And I'm not necessarily saying that is the intent to this, because I'm sure it's not. But when I see this kind of thing, it's like you want everybody to be able to work together and build this space and grow the adoption and support one another, but that's just not how it is. It's just not how it is. And I have to sometimes reprogram my train of thought, because I'm not one of those guys that everybody I meet I think is a schmuck or a liar or a cheater or a thief or whatever. I don't think that way. But my wife, she's very like, she's my partner. Like, we meet people and she knows, man. She can see she's like, not to get weird, but she's like their aura or their way or their energy. And man, is she dead on. I mean, she is so dead on. I feel like I'm very much empathetic. I feel like I can feel what other people feel. I sympathize, I empathize and all of that. But I don't think I'm as good a judge of like individual character so much as she is. And, I want to think everybody wants to help the world. Everybody wants to be a good person. Everybody wants to do right by each other. But the reality is most people just suck. And that's kind of where I'm getting at in my middle-aged years. Where just, generally speaking, most people just kind of suck. And the majority of people are solely out for themselves, and they'll stop at nothing to get whatever the hell they want from anybody they can. And, it's only magnified when you're talking about major institutions, big banks, big banking cartels, huge corporations. I mean, they're all self-serving. And as a matter of fact, one of the things about this country in particular is that when it comes to corporate law and corporate structure, a public company's legal obligation is to benefit its shareholders at just about any cost. So it's just a whole racket. It's a whole game. But so anyway, Bitcoin has been steadily rising today, and I've been very happy to see it. I'd like to see us break above the $11,000 mark, which is right up here. So we've got a little ways to go, but we look like we're looking as though we're starting to taper off a bit around this 10,900 mark. And I'm getting some bearish signals. I'm actually experimenting with some strategies. You'll see that this says murder of crows. And it's actually an indicator that I'm working on with somebody that I basically laid out a video for a trading strategy. And I said, I can do this manually pretty effectively. He actually came to me and he's created other indicators, very strong indicators. And he said, hey, I'd really like to work with you. I know you love indicators, and that I create them, I build them, and here's some of the stuff that I've done. And I said, hey, okay, well, here's a video of mine. This is a trading strategy that I feel is very safe. It's foolproof for the most part, but you've got to watch it and you have to be. And I'm like, if you can turn this into something that will click on and off, in according to these metrics and this and that and another thing. And I'm like, then let's talk. And so he's been building that, and I forgot that was in there. But so he's working on it, but it's pretty sharp. We'll see, but I'm not even going to get into it right now. So anyway, that's pretty good stuff. And if you look at the Bitcoin hash rate's been going up significantly. I mean, we've been on a steady incline now from June, and it just keeps going up and up, which is one of the reasons why I'm also not actively pumping Crow mining all the time, because until Bitcoin's price catches up to its hash rate and its difficulty, it's just not that profitable to mine. I actually had somebody come to me recently, and he's like, hey man, I watched some of your videos and I really like them. What do you think of mining? I've been thinking about buying a Bitcoin ASIC and this and that. I'm like, honestly, just buy Bitcoin right now, man. Until Bitcoin gets to like 20 grand, and the price kind of levels out, and some of these like last gen miners, like these 52 terahash miners, until those can start getting profitable again, there's just no point. I feel like you're better off just buying Bitcoin and holding it through the bull market. I mean, that's just the honest truth. Now, some of these new machines are generating $4.50, $5 a day in Bitcoin profit after expenses. So those might be something that I would consider pushing, but I need to make sure that we have access to those and all that before I even really get into it too much. Here's why tech stocks will wish to emulate Bitcoin in a few years. It is a known fact that Bitcoin has wiped the floor with all other traditional assets in 2020. High turbulence notwithstanding, and keep in mind, folks, this is in 2020, probably one of the worst years I think this country has seen, probably the world has seen in like a decade. I mean, so you're talking about all of this growth just in this time period, which has just been a horrendous year. I saw a meme once that was basically showing if 2020 were a hula hoop and it showed a big ring of barbed wire. And I'm like, that's as clear as day. Like that's everything you need to say. High turbulence notwithstanding, Bitcoin was still up by 48% at press time, a figure that was higher than gold, the S&P 500, and WTI. Interestingly, one particular asset class has been rubbing shoulders with digital assets and mirroring significant gains this year: tech stocks. However, there's a slight difference. While Bitcoin continues to receive a lot of flack from the industry for its volatility and massive drawdowns, tech stocks haven't been criticized that much. While many would attest that Bitcoin has been mirroring these popular tech stock options in 2020, their historical similarity will clarify a few important things. Bitcoin versus tech stocks, similar or not? Here's the thing. I don't really think there is much similarity. I think what we're seeing is an abundance of institutional investors, major whale investors, major players who have traditionally been in traditional stocks now getting into Bitcoin, and all of these people are reacting to Bitcoin the same way they react to their traditional markets based off of news and other catalysts. So that's what I think. I think this correlation between multiple markets is really just like you've got all these guys who've been buying Netflix, Tesla, Amazon. They're tech investors, right? And they have their systems. They have their technical analysis, the way they handle this and the way they handle that. Now they're into Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. So when the market is changing or there's big news like Trump took a poop, like, okay, everything needs to go down 100 points. And these traders are reacting to this across the board now. So we're seeing some of that similarity. I think one of the things that is ultimately going to change more is as we get more bullish in our bull market and things really start to pick up, we will then start to likely outpace a lot like the Amazon, the tech stocks. That's my personal opinion. But I think that that's it. I mean, that's what I think is going to happen. All stocks could become tokenized, says SEC Chairman Clayton. We've been talking about this for a while now, and it's very much I think this is going to happen at some point. Let's face it, it's going to happen. And real quick, I wanted to show something here. This is actually a shout out to Ivan's studio on AnyTask. I did a video recently about how I have like $100 shout out. Paid in Electronium on AnyTask, and this individual bought the first Crypto Crow shout out on AnyTask. So I wanted to make sure that I shared that. I might actually cut this and put it a little closer to the beginning of the video. I didn't realize I've been talking for 20 minutes already. Yeah, so this is pretty cool. Guy's been on there for quite a while. I will create Instagram. There's Instagram stuff. I will produce a branded video, a lot of different services. And this is it's Cynthia's Studios. So I guess they're a team. I'm not sure. But it's Cynthia Studios, so facebook.com/Cynthia Studios. This is their page. I will give them a follow, I think. There we go. And yeah, so that's actually pretty cool. So if you are looking for any of these kinds of services, I will create an awesome logo. I will create a 2D animated explainer. That's actually kind of cool. I might actually take advantage of that myself. Voiceover with UK or US accent. And the reviews, which are really important. I mean, this individual apparently has been doing Fiverr gigs for like 8 years. I think this is like their full-time thing. So, and the reviews have been fantastic. So I'm like, yes, absolutely. And you know, they're from Romania, man. So like, this is probably a pretty significant thing for them. So check them out. It's Ivan Studio. So if you go anytask.com/Ivan Studio and check out their work, maybe hire somebody. Not only are you supporting cryptocurrency, you're supporting Electroneum, you're supporting Anytask, which I'd really like to see grow. I want to see more active users on Anytask hiring some of these guys and gals because there's a lot of talent on this site. And Ivan Studio happens to be one of them. And if I use their services, which I probably will from the looks of things, they offer a lot of really cool stuff that I wouldn't mind doing. I'll keep you guys posted. So back to what I was going into. Jay Clayton, chairman of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission and the SEC, thinks that all stocks could become tokenized one day. Whew. Clayton said the SEC's door is also wide open if somebody wants to show how to tokenize the ETF product in a way that adds efficiency. So Jay Clayton, chairman of the U.S. Securities SEC, appears to believe in blockchain technology's power and thinks that all stocks could become tokenized one day. So here's my question when it comes to this. If we are basically now at a point where we're trying to get banks to start facilitating the custody of cryptocurrencies, will that include tokenized stocks? And then how does that all kind of shape up? You get what I'm saying? Like right now, I don't think you can go to the bank and be like, hey, I'd like to buy 10 shares of Tesla. You know what I mean? But if we tokenize these stocks and banks are now acting as a custody for these tokenized stocks, so when they say that, you see what I'm saying? It's like a whole rabbit hole. So there's going to be a lot of changes coming over the next 5 years, the next decade. And I think that this bull market is going to really set a new precedent for what is to be expected in the cryptocurrency sphere. And I'm glad that they are considering this. I'm glad that they're thinking about it because honestly, if I can buy 0.1 shares of a Tesla stock, because it's broken into a divisible cryptocurrency where I can buy it in units or whatever, a fractional kind of system like just about all cryptocurrencies are, I'd be trading some of this stuff. And honestly, I think that would in effect help the cryptocurrency market because then you're further blending the two. And so adoption may become easier and easier because one of the problems that we're having in the cryptocurrency space is adoption. But when it comes to being able to trade cryptocurrencies or utilize some of these, we're going to have true utility tokens and then we're going to have true security tokens. And I think that's when groups like Polymath and just a lot of these like security token incubator type projects that have been out there for a while will really start to flourish. So we'll start seeing some significant growth in those markets. But at the same time, when we've brought in more of these major companies who are tokenizing their stocks, their assets, well, then that's going to bring in much bigger enterprise level developers to create applications to utilize a lot of these things in more and more clever ways. And I just think overall that could be a really good thing. But we'll have to wait and see. But overall, the sentiment is there, and I'm very much glad to see it. So, look, guys, I hope this was a little interesting for you. About 24 minutes on the mark, and I'm going to probably edit some of this down if I can. I'm burning up. I need to kick my fan on. So until next time, guys, grow your coins. Thank you so much for joining me. Hit that like if you will. Make sure you subscribe and hit that all notification bell. I really am trying to get to 100,000 subscribers, and I'm probably going to do something really crazy special when I do. So see if you can help me get there. I love you. Thank you, and I'll see you again soon.